fires me up, and I'm like, man, I wish I would tried that hard at like anything I do in life.
Yeah.
But dude, like that guy. Hello and welcome to the What the Nuck podcast, the podcast for Canucks fans. I'm your host, Ridey, alongside my good friend and co-host, Prabby. Well, Prabby, Canucks are back in the W column, and not just that, let's get into the big news here because Vancouver picked up not just any player, a monster of a player. Some would say another giraffe on the team.
Yeah.
Vancouver acquired from Calgary Flames this week Zadorov for a third round and a fifth round pick, I believe.
I think third round in 2026, fifth round
Yeah.
in 2024.
That's right. Yeah. So he only got to play one game with us this week, and it was against his former team, the Flames, which is absolutely like that's just storybook shit. I
Yeah.
loved it. He seemed like he's fit in pretty good for the most part in that
Mhm.
game. It'll take him a while to get used to systems, but the fact that he was getting paired up with Tyler Myers, that hyped me up so much, man.
Yeah, man. It was so funny just watching them on the ice together. I think Zadorov was like 6'6", Myers is 6'8".
Yeah.
Like watching them out there together. I think somebody called them like Chaos Giraffe Squared or something like that. Like, gave
Yeah.
me gave me a hearty chuckle. But dude, it was honestly, man, it was exciting that a new player was in the lineup, especially with like how everything has been going for this team
Mhm.
the last couple weeks, just with the win, lose, win, lose, win, lose. And sometimes a fresh face is all the team needs to regain the spark. Like this could be what Vancouver needed, just another fresh face in the locker room to get back to where they were when they started the season. So big fan of the trade.
Yeah, I'm shocked at the price. Like I thought that was I thought he would get way more for
Yeah.
Calgary.
Yeah.
So really tidy piece of work from Alvin too. And it's kind of funny too. Right before this, I'll just quickly mention Anthony Beauvillier got traded
Yeah.
to the Chicago Blackhawks for a fifth round pick. And I saw some people were like clamoring about, oh, like why, like what a bad trade. Like, and people were sad that he was gone, which like fair enough. If you're a fan of a player, you're a fan of a player.
Yeah.
For the price point, he just wasn't doing that a whole lot. Wasn't making a difference for what he gets paid in Vancouver. And that
Yeah.
trade was solely cap space, so Vancouver can go ahead and get Zadorov. And like you said, sometimes all it takes is just a fresh face in the locker room. I don't
Yeah.
even think it's just that. Susie being gone, they needed to make a trade for the defense, and I don't know too much about Zadorov, but this will definitely fill the void while Susie's gone, and then when Susie's back, our decor is even better.
Yeah. I 100% agree with that. They also, speaking on the Bavillier thing, without the Bavillier trade, not just the cap space, but I'm pretty sure that's the fifth that's going to Calgary. The
Yeah,
fifth that
yeah,
we
that's
got
right.
for Bavillier. And honestly, I also read something else about it about that fifth round pick that we gave away to Calgary. It was basically a payment for the fact that we're in the same division, which is more than fair. Like I completely get it. But like
Yeah,
I think like Toronto, I believe Toronto probably would have gotten them for just a third. But since we're in the same division as the Flames, we had to give up that fifth. But I'm more than okay with that. At the end of the day, that price that we paid is still a steal. So it's all good.
a fifth round pick is just Sam Lafferty there, Prabby. Like I'd rather have a Sam Lafferty than a fifth round pick. So no,
I'd
again,
rather have
just
a Sam Lafferty than a fucking Ryan Reeves. Let me tell you, Ryan Reeves for 3 more years.
he already has 6 goals on the year, Sam Lafferty.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that.
Down the back of the net in Calgary as well against Markstrom. That, by
Mhm,
the way, almost was a save of the year candidate. Markstrom was really close to getting that, but you got to tip your cap to Lafferty. He's getting some opportunity with Pedersen, being on Pedersen's
mhm,
wing, and it obviously paid off. Um, God, I love the way that guy plays too. Like, I would ideally like Pedersen to play with more skilled wingers, but adding a little sandpaper to that line, getting Pedersen going. He's a bit of a fast guy too. He could bowl his way to the net. Obviously, he
yep,
doesn't have like crazy hands, but he's been a nice fit on that line since Kuzmenko's been scratched a couple of games, and Kuzmenko still doesn't seem to be all there as far as his producing and just his
mhm.
play in general. Like he's gotten a little bit better, but still think he's holding the stick a little too tight at the moment.
Well, he ended up getting the lone goal against the Golden Knights, and Besides that, I think his play away from the puck hasn't been what anybody would expect. I saw somebody in our fantasy league actually dropped him,
Yeah.
and that just shows how his season's going so far. But no, the Lafferty, Mikheyev, Pedersen line, I'm a big fan of that, and I do like Kuzmenko on Miller and Besser's line. I think that adds some skill, and they're sort of balancing the skill out throughout the lineup now, and it's good to see. It worked against the Flames. I'm hoping it works against the Devils tomorrow. Well, technically today when we upload
Mhm.
this, but yeah, there's obviously they were going to regress a little bit, and they did with the loss against San Jose, and then followed it up with a win against Anaheim, and then loss against Vegas, and then win against Calgary. Like all signs are pointing towards them losing tomorrow with just the way everything's been going lately. But
Yeah.
you know, i- a guy like Kuzmenko, he's being paid like a somewhat of a difference maker. Like he has one season in the league, and you got a $6 million contract. Like he needs to do more. Like
Yeah.
it's it's getting it's getting to the point. It's getting to the point that he needs to do more. That they feel like Hronik's a better option on PP1 and letting Tyler Myers play PP2. Like that shouldn't be like that.
He's in Talkett's doghouse right now. He is
Yeah.
not the player type that Talkett likes, obviously. And
Mhm.
I don't think he's playing bad necessarily, but he's doing too much like fancy stuff and trying to make like really forcing plays when I've noticed he's been shooting more, which is obviously what Talkett wants him to do. I think he
Mhm.
gets a little selective with the shot. I mean, we could also talk about Pedersen being selective with the shot as well. But
Yeah.
Kuzmenko just needs to simplify his game a little bit more. Yeah, I gotta be honest, like little disappointed in his play up to this point of the season so far. You would hope with that contract, how much he makes, and being with Pedersen pretty much this whole season, that he'd have a couple more goals. It almost feels like Besser and him switch like souls for a little bit or switch
Mhm.
bodies because Besser he's leading the league in goals right now, probably. He's got 17.
Yep. Who would have thought? Honestly, not me. I wouldn't have.
No,
I
no, not
never would
me
have.
either.
Never would have thought he'd have what? How many games have we played? 25. Like he'd have 17 goals in 25 games.
Yeah.
I was a Besser believer. I didn't believe in him that much. Like,
Oh yeah, dude. If he had 10 or like 12 right now, I'd be like, nice. That's a really good start. He's definitely gonna hit 30. He's 13 away from 30, and we're 25
yeah,
games into the season. Like that's incredible.
it's yeah, and it couldn't happen to a better guy. Honestly, he goes through a couple like 2 3 games, doesn't score a goal. He honestly looks good on the ice every time he's out there, though.
No,
So
he
good for
does.
him.
Yeah.
I think
Actually, I was.
since we're breaking down player like play styles and playing,
Yeah.
I know you want to talk about Connor Garland.
I
And
do. Well, I just want to add one thing about Besser quickly too, and that line with him and Miller.
Mhm.
Um, I like the game that we lost against the Golden Knights, which, by the way, every game Vancouver's had this year to show like the analytical nerds on Twitter, like Dom and all these guys, on like, hey, this is our team. We're an elite team. Like, acknowledge us, respect us, right? We had
Yeah.
a game against Toronto. We lose that one. We have a game against Colorado. We lose that one. We have a game against the Golden Knights. And I got to be honest, the Golden Knights completely outplayed the Vancouver Canucks. So,
Outclassed, out everything us, man.
yeah, yeah, it was a tough game to watch. But this is what I wanted to say about that Besser Miller line. They put Kuzmenko with Besser and Miller for like a little bit, and that's when he got that lone goal, like you were mentioning.
Mhm.
I was thinking about it. I kind of like that line. Like, just
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
try it. Like, you have Besser and Miller who forecheck like Giuseppe, but they have more skill. And then you put
Mhm.
Kuzmenko there, like maybe he'll like finish a little bit more. He'll be able to feed the puck to Besser a little bit better than Di Giuseppe could.
Yeah.
I would just like to see Talkett experiment with that a little bit more. I really like that line.
I'm completely on board with that. It's a great line. And like it goes back to my previous point that like just spreading out the skill but to in like in your lineup is I feel like that's always going to be the best possible foot forward. I
Hmm.
You got to talk about Garland. You
I
got
will.
to do it.
um. Okay, so here's the thing, right? I've been seeing people debate on it. I commented on it too, on our Twitter, just talking about how Garland works his ass off, and people are comparing him to Mason Raymond and stuff right now, right? I don't think he is like Mason Raymond at all. I think Connor Garland works way harder than Mason Raymond does. He has a finishing of Mason Raymond. He can't finish for some reason right now. Like I don't know if I'm arguing about how Beauvillier didn't do much. Connor Garland doesn't really do much too. For the
Mhm.
eye test, watching him work fires me up, and I'm like, man, I wish I would tried that hard at like anything I do in life.
Yeah.
But dude, like that guy just gives 110% effort. He can't find the back of the net. That line is like a spark for the Canucks when they're struggling right now. It seems like every game we're losing, Connor Garland's line is driving play. Obviously, that's a bad sign if that line's driving play. Miller and Pettersson's line aren't. But I don't think he's a bad player. I don't really like know what people want to get for Garland because I don't think you get much right now. I think he's just fine playing the way he is, and hopefully he can find some lady luck and get some pucks in the back of the net with that line. Um, I still think he's a good player to have on the team though for right now.
Yeah.
Until you can get an upgrade somewhere else or offload the cap for like a better player, like you're kind of stuck with him right now. And to the people that think we should just offload him for nothing, like what are you gonna put there then? Like, yeah, you could put Baines there or something, but and Baines has been killing it in the AHL. But at the same time, like, what are you gonna expect from Baines? Because Baines doesn't have the skill of Connor Garland. Garland's an NHL player, right?
Mhm.
Baines is unproven, and maybe he could do it, but yeah, Garland's doing the best he can right now. He's overpaid for sure for what he's doing, but I don't mind him on the team at all.
So what's the difference between Garland and Beauvillier? Why were you so hard on Beauvillier, but you're giving Garland a slight pass?
Okay, because here's the thing: Beauvillier, in my opinion, would just skate. Like he was a really good skater. He got in on the forecheck sometimes, but Garland's like dragging that Blueger and Joshua line like into battle. Like they scored that goal against Montreal where Garland was just everywhere all at once. Man, he was like one of the chipmunks from Alvin and the Chipmunks,
Mhm.
but on like steroids, man. Like he was just buzzing.
Yeah.
Um, I I know, like it sounds it's not a good argument. Like he isn't like producing what he should.
Yeah.
He's playing good at 5-on-5. He's obviously playing lesser opponents because he's in the bottom six role right now. I just think that Garland is giving more than what Beauvillier ever gave this season so far. I think you can make a case for that. No,
I think Garland's the third best forward on his line. I
oh
think Josh
really?
I think Joshua and Blueger are playing better than him, if I'm being completely
Well,
honest.
I think that line as a whole is just really good. Like I really like watching that line right now. Um, and again, we should be expecting more from Garland for what he's getting paid,
Mhm.
right? Like that is
Yeah.
just like the thing. You can't deny that. I just think he's playing better than what people are giving him flack for right now. Like I don't know. Like the producing should come here soon. Also, to your point, Joshua has been playing so good on that line. Like ever
Yeah.
since he's been scratched a few times, he comes out, he hits, he forechecks hard. Again, that line doesn't finish a lot, but I like their work ethic. And again, you just gotta hope that Lady Luck changes for them.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think the dam's got to break at one point.
Yep,
Garland does get a lot of chances,
he
and
does.
I think he's also sort of he also maybe tries to skill it up a little too much certain times. Like there'll be times when he has the puck and he can just get it towards the net, and he'll go for like a little toe drag and try to
Yeah,
get like a better shot, but then he doesn't get the shot off, or it'll get into his feet and he'll put a muffin on the net. I think Garland's a good player, but I do think
yeah,
that like out of those three guys on that line, I think Garland's not playing better than the other two. I think
yeah.
Joshua's throwing the body all this. Bluger's doing his thing defensively, getting sticks and lanes and stuff like that. And I don't think Garland's playing horrendous. Like
No,
that's one thing I
he's
will agree with you on. I don't think he's
yeah,
playing horrendous, but I do think he's playing like the third best forward on that line.
yeah. Yeah, I know. We'll have to see this week here. Like the other thing too, when he was in Arizona and playing for the Coyotes, he was like a
Mhm.
point producer there, but he was the guy there. And I feel like
Yeah.
I'm not comparing these two in any sense of the word. Like Timo Meyer is a way better player, but Timo Meyer went from being in San Jose as being their best forward, as the guy, the star player. And now he goes to New Jersey, where Jack Hughes is that, obviously.
Hmm.
And he just hasn't seemed to adapt it to New Jersey's style of play or just
Yeah.
the city in general. So maybe Garland needs to have that upper role. Obviously,
Hmm.
he shouldn't be getting it with this club right now because there's other guys like Lafferty that just provide a little bit more and have a better play style with Pedersen. So,
Hmm.
and again, like that line is going. So I don't want to break that up. I think the only lines that are kind of untouchable for Vancouver is like as far as tandems go, Miller, Besser, and then that third line. And then Hoglander could be a bit of a Swiss Army knife. Try him up in the top six, put him back down
Hmm.
to the fourth, see what happens. But overall, as long as we're getting the bottom six scoring, and we are, like from Lafferty, I know McKay plays in the top six, but he's been getting it done. We've been getting a lot of depth scoring this year, which is different from years past. And like you
Yeah.
said, we've regressed like crazy as well. Like, or not crazy, but just they've fallen down to earth a little bit. They have to gain some traction here. We can't keep winning and losing a game
Hmm.
here on out because the Oilers are catching up a little bit.
I mean, they technically can. I think our shot at playoffs right now is pretty much
Oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it
it's
is.
that.
But I don't
Yeah.
want them to get complacent. That
Yeah.
that concerns me.
No, I agree. I agree. On the topic of the bottom six, there's a couple notable guys that are starting to creep their way back. Well, one's starting to creep his way back, and one's crept his way in. Nils
Mm-hmm.
Zaman and Linus Carlson.
Mm-hmm.
Both both are Nils Zaman. Absolutely, do not take him out of the lineup. That guy is a machine. That guy's nuts in the bottom six.
Yeah, dude, I love Neil Zamon's game. I also, dude, you could see how much trust guys like Carlson as well. Carlson was playing in the final like few minutes against Calgary.
Yeah.
Like he has trust in these young guys. Like Linus Carlson seems to be like a really good like two-way guy. And to what you're saying with Amon's got size as well. He I don't know, he's just a heavy player. Like he plays a bit of a tough game. Like not that he gets hits, but he's just like a bit of a two-way menace too, especially up
Yep.
on the forecheck. Like I really like the way Amon plays. Um, also, the one thing that is like a huge positive with that Beauvillier trade coming out of or coming to fruition there for Vancouver is Hoglander. Unless he plays horrendous down the stretch here, he's not going to get scratched anymore. He has a spot on this team now, which I really like.
Yeah, unless he plays horrendous or we make a trade to acquire a winger, which
Yeah.
there's talks around Canuck land about that, but that's we'll talk about that later on. I want to talk about the Ducks game.
Yep.
And you brought it up. Besser leading the league in goals, and he scored two in that game.
Hmm.
Historically, I feel like John Gibson has had Vancouver's number,
Oh, he has.
and yeah, so it was a pretty well. I watched it. Um, it was a pretty good game. The one takeaway I had from it, and it honestly, it's kept on piling up throughout the rest of the week.
Yep.
Vancouver's penalty kill is starting to become a problem.
Yeah.
It it's not looking too good. And well, I'm trying to think about it because everything they were saying in the off season is, these guys they're bringing these guys in, they kill penalties and they kill penalties, and it was going fine. Like it wasn't great, but it was going fine for the beginning part of the season. But now it seems like they're starting to get back to their old ways. Have you been noticing that as well?
Yeah. You know what I think part of the problem is right now? I think I believe we're playing JT Miller in that matchup role a lot, which is fine. But
Hmm.
then Miller's also on the penalty kill as like penalty kill one with Pedersen, and they're
Yeah,
usually pretty good. I do think they might be, and it's no excuse, but they're a little fatigued because I think they might be getting a little bit overplayed.
yeah,
It seems like the system's just been breaking down a little bit for them for whatever reason. Also, the absence of Susie, because Susie was playing penalty kill, is hurting them a little bit as well, just because you're having to have guys like Juleson come in and play and
and
Myers
Pia
play
Suter,
on there. And yeah, and
absence of
PS
yes, Tusi and Pia Suter.
who was playing really good until he got injured too, which sucks because Yeah,
Yeah.
and Suter apparently, I saw a tweet from JPat. His faceoff percentage on the penalty kill is 53.6. Every other player,
Hmm.
I think Miller's like 47%.
Hmm.
Um, and that's still fine for a penalty kill apparently, but 53%, that's really good. And obviously, you're winning
Yeah.
more than you're losing. You have the opportunity to get it out more. So I think the absence of a couple of players plus the over playing of Pedersen and Miller's kind of catching up to the team just a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I agree with that.
yeah,
I kind of hope they stop making Pedersen and Miller the first PK unit. I
hmm
don't get why that, like, I don't understand it. Like, it's penalty kill by committee. I get it, right? Everybody's gonna kill penalties and stuff like that. But I do not like Joshua has absolutely fantastic penalty kill numbers,
he
and
does. Yeah,
I would prefer if a guy like Joshua was um on that first PK, or honestly split up Miller and Pedersen. Like, don't put them out there
yeah.
at the same time. They're
No,
two
and
offensive guys.
that's a great point. Like they're really smart players, and like stacking the line kind of fires me up sometimes because they do get some offensive chances the odd time. And
Hmm.
I agree to your point. I think Tocchet should be game managing them a little bit more if things are starting to go well for the penalty kill again. You have
Yeah,
to have them there right now because I don't really know who else would penalty kill with the absence of Suter. You could do maybe Bluger and Joshua, and then
Lafferty,
yeah,
Amon.
Lafferty, Amon eventually. But I still think you got to have PD and Miller in there in the mix because they are still really good penalty killers. I think there's just been a few
Mikheyev's in there
system.
too.
Yeah, McCabe's in there as well.
Mikheyev's in there too.
Um,
Yeah.
I just think there's been a few like system breakdowns, and yeah, they do have to figure it out because um, the other thing too, I feel like as of late, like they've gotten a few here and there, but the power play as well has dipped a bit. Where not that we're power play merchants, but it is a huge part of our game. Like
Yeah.
we need the power play to do well. We need dem like I'm looking at the stats of this Ducks game here, and it was actually a
Hmm.
goaltending battle. Like Gibson had a really good game. Demko had a monstrous game. Like Demko's save percentage in this game was 968 to Gibson's 923. Like
Hmm.
Demko has kind of been playing out of his mind this whole season. He hasn't really had too many
Yeah.
stinker games. Vancouver just has to start playing a little more consistently in front of him.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna second that. His Demko's play, he's been crazy. Uh and he showed it against the Golden Knights too. Did you see how many saves he made?
How many saves did he make? I didn't see the number or the total number.
So think about this. Like, Golden Knights had 4 goals, he made 44 saves.
Yeah. And they were that game was ridiculous, man. They were suffocating Vancouver. Vancouver couldn't like they could get to the neutral zone, but the stick checks on Vegas and like just the stick work in general, like the back check, Vancouver just could not like
No.
create anything offensively on them. Even on the power play just looked like it was neutered, man. Like they just
Yeah.
couldn't get anything going against them.
There were a couple of bad bounces against the Canucks, and
Yeah.
quite frankly, Vancouver couldn't get a bounce. But at the end of the day, if you're getting outshot like 48-17 or whatever the hell it is, or I
Yeah.
don't even remember what it was, you don't deserve to get any bounces at that point. And once again, it happened again, and Vancouver let in another power play goal. And I think that game really made me start thinking about it even more, that like maybe the regression, especially on the PK, is going to come a lot harder than I was initially expecting.
Yeah, let's hope it doesn't because again, like if that goes down to like last in the league like it was for a point last year, that's
Yeah.
really concerning, especially going like come later in the season. Like that could take you out of a playoff spot. Those games are crucial, and if you let power play goals in, you're letting goals in, more goals in. Next thing you
Hmm.
know, you lose a few games. Like the one thing too with Vancouver, like they've been kind of lucky just on like the schedule has been bad. Like they played a lot of games, but just as far as like how teams have been coming in, like the game they lost against the Sharks, both of them played a back to back. There's no excuses there. That Ducks game, they got outshot in that game still, and Obviously, the Ducks are going to be desperate. They handed them their seventh loss in a row there. Vancouver did, and Vancouver's got to start coming out a little stronger too in games because we're
Yeah.
getting outshot pretty consistently now too.
Yeah. Um, it's honestly the team's gonna be fine. Is
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
mentally, I know the team's gonna be fine, but like watching it and just seeing them, just fall behind and stuff like that, like not playing up to what I saw 3 weeks ago, it's painful.
Mm-hmm.
But th- the dog shit game against the Golden Knights, they rebound quite nicely against the Flames. And I
They
do have
did,
to
yeah.
say, if I could beat any team, Calgary. Calgary's in my top 4. I wanna beat you no matter what, you
Yeah.
know? 100%. So they come out, they strike early. Quinn Hughes strikes early, continues his monstrous season.
Career high in
Did you
goals, baby.
career high in goals? Yeah, the guy's he looks like he could score 20 this year, which is gonna be
I know.
absolutely absurd. Did you end up watching the game or
Yeah, so we were up at Big White. We were like watching it through a bar. Also, this is hilarious. So we were at like Bowl Wheel at Big White, and we're trying to get the game on, and they're like, "Oh yeah, like these people requested like a women's championship rugby game, so we couldn't watch a game in there." And I'm like streaming it on my phone. We're taking turns streaming it, and then we went into Snowshoe Sam's, and then we got to see the rest of it there.
Yeah.
So I got to see bits and pieces, and then I watched the highlights, and yeah, it seemed like it was a pretty back and forth game. Seemed pretty competitive, but it's a gutsy road win. Like I thought Vancouver played well, and they got ahead with a nice 2-goal lead, and
Mhm.
yeah, they kept in front of it the whole time, which is all you could ask for on the road.
It was a very entertaining one, all the
Hmm.
way to the till the very end. Um, they did get to a point where it was getting kind of shady. The Flames were pressing, and then I think they went up 4-2, and then Calgary made it 4-3. And I was sitting there and just flashbacks from last year. I was like,
Oh yeah,
oh god, not like this. And it was
yeah.
so brutal, bro. But they end up, yeah, like you said, they end up like pulling through. And that was like a really solid team win, which was like nice to see.
Hmm.
Everybody was throwing their body on the line, and Nikita Zadorov's first game back, we talked about it earlier, against his own team. He looked great. Like there was at one point I think I saw him just I don't know, I probably was a cross check if I'm being honest, but just knocks Lindholm to the ground, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, rip his face off. Come
Yeah.
on. Like I'm screaming, bro. But yeah, no, it doesn't like they have efforts like this where it's a good team effort, and they play good and they've deserved the win.
Hmm.
But then they have efforts like they had against the San Jose Sharks, and where
Hmm.
they lose 4-3. To be fair, they came back near the end and they were pressing and stuff like that.
They pressed hard in that game.
Yeah,
It was too little, too late.
yeah, yeah. But like the Golden Knights game, they don't show up, and then they come out to the Flames game and they show up. But the problem with it is the rest of the league isn't watching Calgary versus Vancouver. They don't give a
No,
fuck.
no.
Everybody knows Calgary stinks. What people are watching is, like you said, Vancouver, Vegas,
Dude, they're
Vancouver,
cherry picking
Colorado.
games. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Vancouver, Toronto. That's what the rest of the league is watching, and it sucks that they're not showing up for these. It's
Hmm.
awful.
It's funny actually. Some guy tweeted it. I might actually mention it last podcast, but it really resonated with just like how the season is. We're diehard fans, probably. We've been here
Oh, yeah.
through the mud, through the trenches. Like finally, like now that they're good again, it's great, and I love it. Like when we were in like the Benning era and we were losing games, and it wasn't even like it was fun watching the game because we got to listen to John Shorthouse and John Garrett. That's why I came to watch the games.
Yeah.
And obviously the rookies that we had, like Besser coming up, Pedersen, Hughes coming up, right? The thing with losing now when you're a competitive team, I lose sleep over it, man. Like that, like I'm just like,
Yeah.
all they need is a bounce, and they just couldn't get it against the Golden Knights, and it's infuriating to watch. That game before, if we were losing 4-1 to the Knights, part of it's because you expect it, but I'm able to like not be so attached. And like now I'm like, it's not that I wasn't attached. It's just like now it hurts so much more to lose because I'm just like worried about other teams catching up to us. And the
Hmm.
record's amazing. We're 16-8-1 right now, man. Like
Yeah.
if you told me that we were going to be like that at the start of the year, again, I think every Canuck fan would have laughed at you. But like
Yeah.
these losses, like they just hurt sometimes because I'm invested more than I ever been in like a long time. Like
Yeah.
they have to like we were saying, like this is a really good win. They're playing New Jersey
Hmm.
here on Tuesday. They have to come and play against New Jersey like they did against the Flames. And honestly, if not, a little bit harder too, because we got to get a 2-game win streak going again. They got to stop the win loss.
Do
Alternating is
you want
not going to
my
help them.
Do you want my hot take?
I would love it.
Vancouver's about to pop off for 7 in a row.
7 in a row.
Yeah.
Do you want to know the opponents they're playing on this 7-game win streak? I guess they
I'm
already got
looking at it
one.
right now.
All right.
The Devils,
Yeah.
the Wild, the Hurricanes, the Lightning, the Panthers, the Wild, Chicago.
Some of those are very doable. Vasilevsky's back for Lightning, so you'll have to see which Tampa Bay Lightning team you're getting. It seems like they've kind of been
They still
humdrum a little
stink.
bit too. New
they
Jersey,
they stink.
New Jersey
New
too. Like
Jersey's
this is
beatable.
they are because they haven't been
Yeah, yeah.
playing to, like their standards, like you said.
Yeah. New Jersey. I'm looking at it.
Yeah,
New Jersey's beatable. Minnesota's beatable. Carolina, I expect them to beat. Carolina's not having the best year. Tampa Bay, I just hate playing the Lightning ever since they dummied us. Um, Florida, we already beat them once, right? I believe
yeah, they're a good team though. No,
they
we
are a good
did
team.
we lose? I thought we lost to them.
I think we beat the Panthers, but we
Oh no,
lost to
we
the
won.
Lightning.
Yeah, yeah, we
Yeah.
won 5-3.
And then we're back to the Wild, and then it's the Bedard show. So no, I expect this team. Holy cow, we play at 11 a.m. on Saturday, December 16th.
I'm seeing that now. I love that. I love a good morning game, but that also might be a scheduled loss because Canucks and morning games do not jive well.
And then they play at 12 p.m. the next day. Jeez.
Yeah, that's not ideal. But again, like you said, like they have like that's still a good gauntlet of games there to go through. Like again, you're
Hmm.
getting a little bit of a break because New Jersey's been okay this year so far. There's still some pretty tough games in there. I really hope to see them hit 7 here, like you're saying, but
They're
we'll
gonna,
have to
bro.
see. Yeah,
Well, technically, it would just be up to the Minnesota Wild game because they're currently on a 1-game win streak.
yeah,
Okay.
that's true.
Um, Other news when it comes to the Canucks, besides the games, we'll look ahead into who they're playing coming up here, like for this week. There's
Hmm.
news even after the Zadorov trade that Vancouver is still looking at Ethan Bear, and I want to get your opinion on that. Do you think that are you interested in an Ethan Bear reunion?
Yes, because I saw some like his like analytical stats 5-on-5 with Quinn Hughes last year to Roenick.
Hmm.
It's pretty similar, which
Hmm.
it's no knock on Roenick. It's just like if that's actually how Ethan Bear is going to play this season, balance out the lines. You put Bear with Hughes, Roenick with Zadorov or Susie or whoever.
Hmm.
And the only thing though is like if Ethan Bear can be like that solid NHL defender that he can be or he's played to be. You also now have a logjam at defense, and like, do you trade Myers at that point? Then like that's been a rumor forever, but like who? I know he's an expiring deal, but you're gonna have to make a move. I think if you
Hmm.
want Ethan Bear, and Ethan Bear too is not like the straight up solution for this team to be a contender. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I obviously it would help and it would push the needle a little bit, but I don't think it's like the number one move they need to make.
I think if they're going for Ethan Bear, I think they should keep Myers because we've seen it in the playoffs and everything. Ethan Bear is going to sign a relatively cheap contract,
Yeah.
just
Well, he
because he's
doesn't have
coming
any
off the injury.
leverage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But dude, D-men go down all the time, and I guarantee you, bro. I swear. Hey, you could put Myers on waivers. I don't
Hmm.
think anybody's picking him up. All right, but I'm not saying you should. But
Yeah.
if I was the GM, I'd try to get Ethan Bear for sure,
Hmm.
and you could say, "Hey, we're gonna slowly ease you back in to like full time play. You know, let him play like every second game and rotate some guys out. Obviously, the main guy who would go right now is Juleson. Um, but then yeah, when Susie comes back, it gets a little weird. But if you want to rotate guys out, keep guys fresh for playoffs, I think that could work if they just want to keep Myers and everything.
Yeah. No, I wonder if like Myers or like the D men just in general, like always like if you're not playing that good, you get scratched, Myers comes in, whatever. If if he's into that, which I doubt it, like you want to play every game, right?
Hmm.
I'm more than okay with that. That is great. Like again, it's like talking about like what we were talking about earlier with game management with like Pedersen and Miller, like reducing their minutes a little bit if you're able to and you're winning, right?
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like if the D boys are down for that, that's all the power to Vancouver, and it just bolsters the lineup that much more. That being said, what you're saying too with like trying to get a winger or like some other like top six guy
Mm-hmm.
potentially, that might be just a bit more of a need because I do think obviously we have some great players in Pedersen, Besser, Miller, Quinn Hughes. It would be nice if they can get that like one extra guy up front that can pack a
Mm-hmm.
punch and can play with Pedersen. So Pedersen has like a skilled guy because Miller has Besser, right?
Yeah. I'll agree with that. At that point, do you trade Garland to try to get that guy?
That's what I'm saying. If Garland can go like you can like offload Garland and you can like somehow do a trade where or facilitate a trade where you're gonna get a better top six guy, you're probably gonna have to get rid of your first.
Hmm.
I'm 100% down for that.
Yeah,
100% down for that. Like,
I agree.
okay, I defended Garland with all my life on this podcast. The moment we can get a top six guy, yeah, see ya, buddy.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Another defenseman Vancouver still being linked to even after the Zadorov trade is Tanev. That one I realistically don't see happening till maybe the off season.
Yeah, and it seems one thing I'm a little concerned about is it seems like he's probably going to go to Toronto if they're able to make it work because we got
Hmm.
Zadorov. I don't know like what that how that trade would look for Toronto and Calgary, but there's still a part of me like it's really cool to see like that we got another monster 6'6" defender in Zadorov. And again, I don't know what his skills like. I don't know what Calgary fans think of it. I know they were upset about the
Hmm.
trade because they thought it was a robbery from us. Um,
Yep.
I know Zadorov's fun to watch, but as far as consistently good all the time, stay at home defender, homecoming, Chris Tanev, my heart wanted that. Okay,
Yeah, my heart
I
wanted
I
that.
s- I still miss that guy, and like a reunion with him. He was like team dad too, dude. He was inviting like Quinn Hughes and like all like the rookie guys over for like chess games or like board game nights just in general. Like he just such a
Yeah.
good morale guy for the team, and he's still an amazing defenseman. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I'll second that.
hopefully hopefully Toronto doesn't get him.
Yeah, I don't. Out of anywhere he could go, I don't want it to be Toronto. Definitely Vancouver.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hey, man. Maybe you get rid of Myers and maybe you find a way to get Tanev in here. That would make an absolutely solid defense.
Uh don't don't
I'm
say that.
drinking the
I'm getting
Kool Aid.
hyped up. I'll
I'm
drink that
drinking the
Kool-Aid with
Kool
you.
Aid. I'm drinking the Kool Aid. But we're what almost 40 minutes into it. Let's do a quick round of what you expect to see from the boys this week, especially against their matchups. So let's start off with New Jersey.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just in general, the boys got 3 games this week. Tuesday against New Jersey. New Jersey's kind of been what the kids say mid this whole year thus far. And even with Jack Hughes being back recently, you're shaking your head. You didn't like that I said that, did you?
Keep going. Keep going.
Anyways, yeah, no, Jack Hughes is back, which I'm excited about because Quinn gets to see Jack and like the parents go to watch. It's always a big thing.
Hmm.
That being said, Jack Hughes has owned the Vancouver Canucks every game that they played against Vancouver.
Yeah.
So hopefully this time around with New Jersey kind of slumping here and there, Vancouver can pull out a win. And I'm pretty confident they can. Timo Meyer's out. Dougie Hamilton actually, unfortunately, is out indefinitely. Um,
Yeah.
that's tough for Devils fans. Simon Nemec got called up. It'll be an interesting
He's
game at
sick
the end of
though.
the day. Oh yeah, yeah. No, Devils fans are set on D for a while. But
Yeah.
I think with those injuries there, I think it might be a little tough for them, and those are top guys that they're missing. So I think Vancouver comes out on top, 100% against New
Nice.
Jersey.
Do you have a score prediction?
I think it'll be a bit of a dicey one, but I got 4-2. I got
4-2.
I got Besser 1 goal, Miller 1 goal, Lafferty because he's been popping off, and I'll go Quinny again because he wants to show his
Ooh.
mom and dad that he's a good player against his other brother or his other brothers. My God.
Yeah. Um. Then we move on to Thursday. We go take on the Minnesota Wild for the first time this year. What are your thoughts going into that one?
Mini because it's in Vancouver once again, 7 o'clock. Like it's Minnesota, bro. We should
Yeah.
this should be a scheduled win. Like the New Jersey one, I think East Coast guys are gonna watch that game, see how Vancouver does against a supposed to be top team. No one's
Yep.
watching that Wild game, and we should be winning that Wild game. I'll be disappointed if they lose that. So that one,
Yep.
I got like a 5-2 win.
5-2 win.
Yeah,
I will back your 5-2 win, and I'm gonna say Kuzmenko gets 2 goals.
I would like that. He needs to get going, man.
Yeah.
Kuzmenko,
And
eat a
then
banana and have some Coke.
yeah, chill out, man. Like stop gripping the stick so tight. All right, it's
Yeah,
all
like
good.
hey, it's okay to have chocolate. If that like, dude, I think we kind of suck the fun out of Kuzmenko, bro. I like if Kuzmenko was able to have a banana and a pop on the bench and he was scoring
Yeah.
39 goals, let him do it. Ovechkin does it. Ovechkin has Coke on the bench all the time.
Yeah. No
I
facts.
yeah.
No facts. Facts. I agree, dude. This team's getting way too serious, especially with the upper management. But that's like a conversation for a whole different fucking day. Um, we
They're
wrap the
too
week up
professional.
against. Yeah, it's true. Francesco's a little too professional, but we wrap the week up against the Carolina Hurricanes, who were not surprisingly, but there were a lot of people's cup favorites coming into this year. And try to have to ask, what happened? What's going on with the Carolina Hurricanes?
I don't know, man. Actually, because I have them in fantasy, I both of them actually, Sebastian Aho and Svechnikov.
Hmm.
Aho's starting to heat up. Svechnikov's starting to heat up, so I expect them to get back into that conversation, and they still are. Their record's 14-9-1. They're not a
Yeah,
bad team by any means, but yeah, they just haven't been what everybody thought. Like they're such a well balanced team. I think one thing that Carolina seems to have trouble with is like scoring.
hmm,
Like Aho hasn't like hit that threshold that people thought he was going to. Like we thought he would explode with points at around like the 70 to like 90-point range. It just hasn't happened for him,
yeah.
which it's no fault of his game. He might not be that guy.
No,
But yeah, I could see Vancouver winning that one too. Again, at home. We got the home ice advantage this week, buddy. I'm
it's
fired up.
well deserved. Well, it's honestly well deserved. Score prediction for Saturday. What do you got?
That'll be a tough one. I actually have a 3-2 OT victory.
Oh, I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
3-2
This
OT.
one feels like OT, and it's gonna be like after hours, like Ilya Mikheyev. Mikheyev's gonna score an OT. That's what I
Helium
got.
McCabe. That
Yeah,
guy can't score a breakaway to save his life, bro.
I know it's a terrible prediction.
He gets so many of those. I'm gonna go 3-2 overtime. And I'm gonna say, damn, who do I think? Honestly, Connor Garland, OT winner.
I love it. Yeah, hyping up the
Connor
trade
Garland.
value.
Yeah, send this to the rest of the GMs in the league. All right, let
Oh,
them know.
I'm You know what we actually got to start doing, Pravi? Any
What?
time like we have a guy that like needs to get traded, anything he does well, I'm just gonna start retweeting everything Connor Garland does well. Okay, send it to every other team in the league, DMing
Yeah.
Nashville, any team that wants to bite.
Nashville.
Oh God,
All
I don't
right,
know. I feel
buddy.
like he'd be a good fit there. You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, I think we discussed everything we wanted to talk about. That was a good fun time right there. Do you got anything to say?
No, not really. I'm happy, very content with where the Canucks are at. Like I said, I just want them to keep being consistent with it and don't get complacent. Improve that power play,
Hmm.
and Kuzmenko, get me some goals, buddy.
Yes, sir. I agree.
All right. Well, I'll bring this home here. Thank you guys again so much for listening to the podcast. You could follow us on Instagram and X or Twitter at What the Nuck Pod, and our YouTube channel and TikTok at What the Nuck. Have a great week, folks, and we'll talk to you again next week.